I really don't know what's weirder, the fact that Mario and Rabbids have officially crossed over, or the fact that it's happening in a cover-based shooter. Okay, so it's actually a turn-based tactics game, but it does involve plenty of chest-high walls and guns, even if cartoonish ones. But here's the weirdest part. It actually works. All of it. Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle really is like Mario as you've never seen him before. And probably the Rabbids too. And that's saying something, seeing as Mario is certainly no stranger to turn-based games, having starred in countless RPGs. But Kingdom Battle is something else entirely, eschewing most of the story and world building in favor of a combat-focused experience, while retaining the typical Mario charm with a sprinkling of the cruder Rabbids style of humor. So like Mario's past RPGs, when it comes to the gameplay, the combat is still turn-based. But that's about where the similarities end, because Kingdom Battle is more about positioning your characters in a 3D environment, so as to target the enemies while hopefully not leaving yourself too vulnerable in the process. And that's precisely why you'll find cover all over the place, so you can protect yourself from certain angles, while peeking around it to fire at exposed enemies nearby. And of course, the enemies are trying to do the exact same thing too, so it's a constant battle of trying to further your objective without compromising your position too much in the process. And it's that sense of risk versus reward that lies at the very heart of the gameplay, and is what makes it so compelling. Now, as you plan each character's move, the elegant user interface constantly updates to show which enemies are close enough to be targeted from that position, and if they are, how likely it is you'll land an attack. The odds are 100% of the enemy is fully exposed, 0% if they're entirely behind cover, or right smack dab in the middle at 50% if they're only behind a half-height wall, meaning your shot has a 50-50 chance of landing. And that's it, only the 3 options. It's brilliant in its simplicity, while also making luck an important, but not too important of a factor. And it's this simplicity that makes Kingdom Battle so accessible. I know this because I'm the idiot that usually finds turn-based strategy games to be intimidating. And yet Kingdom Battle does a great job of easing you into the gameplay, while introducing new ideas and mechanics pretty consistently without throwing too much your way at once. So to break it down a bit, there are basically 3 different types of actions that you can perform once each turn with every character. There's movement, which means moving along a grid a set amount of spaces, which includes using warp pipes or jumping off teammates to extend your range, as well as dashing into enemies along the way to score some easy damage. Then there's attacking, where the option of using either your primary or secondary weapon, taking into account each one's range, strength, and damage radius. And finally there's techniques, which includes things like shields, aura that can heal, protect, or strengthen nearby allies, or the ability to automatically counterattack if an enemy gets too close during their turn. But despite the overall simplicity, the nearly infinite amount of ways in which to combine those options allow for remarkably complex strategies to emerge. To the point where I spent upwards of 10 minutes, maybe more, on a single turn, exploring every single option I had to chart an optimal plan of attack, especially when it was a life or death situation. Let me give you a quick example of one such dire circumstance. So poor Rabbid Mario here was surrounded, and even worse, mostly by smashers who can both take a lot of damage and dish it out too. Now, even though smashers can only move up to 4 squares per turn, if you shoot them at any time, they'll instantly move 4 spaces closer and try to attack the person that shot them. So yeah, Rabbid Mario's not in a good position here at all, as no single attack of his would be enough to take one down, let alone possibly 2 or 3, which means if I tried to, Rabbid Mario would get pounded immediately after. And to make matters even worse, I had already used Mario Prime's attack move. Although I then realized I hadn't yet used one of Mario's techniques, being Hero Sight, which as I said before, allows him to counterattack any enemy that moves nearby. And it might just have been the thing I needed. So after activating it, I then used my third teammate, being Rabbid Peach, to shoot one of the smashers and draw him to her, which then caused Mario to instantly open fire on the smasher as soon as he started moving, which ended up taking him out. So that's one smasher down. Now normally that might have been the end of my strategy, but since I had upgraded Mario's hero shot to work twice in a row, I decided to try it again, this time using Rabbid Mario to fire the smasher point blank, and it had the exact same result. As soon as I shot him, he started moving toward Rabbid Mario, which then caused Mario to immediately open fire one more time, taking him out. And let me tell you, that felt good. The battle system's user interface does a great job of relaying the information you need without cluttering the screen too much. You can easily highlight any character at any time to see the range of their movement and attacks, and even temporarily lock that overlay so you can better see how it relates to the rest of the map. With that said, for as elegant as the battle system is, I did find the camera controls a little bit too limiting, being rotatable only in 90-degree increments, when there were many times I would prefer some finer control, including the ability to zoom out, as the camera is often far too close to the action, making it difficult to understand the battlefield's geography and enemy placement. And there were also a few times when a targetable enemy was so far away that their information was cut off by the edge of the screen. Finally, while the game does allow you to fast forward through the enemy's movements, I wish it offered the same for your own too, especially when there's a bunch of warp pipes involved. but all things considered, these are relatively minor gripes, as the battle system is otherwise fantastic. It's accessible, remarkably deep, and addictive as hell. And it helps that every battle feels distinct, thanks to the map and enemy diversity, as well as the varied objectives. Sure, most of them involve killing some or all of the enemies, but there are others including getting to the goal, and surprisingly not terrible escort missions. I really can't tell you how many times I finished a battle thinking it had only been 10, maybe 15 minutes, when it had actually been closer to 30 or more. Although, as a side effect of the lengthy battles, losing can be a little frustrating at times, requiring you to redo the entire thing. But it's also for that same reason that having a victory feels so satisfying. Seeing your strategy play out exactly as you had hoped feels really good. I'm serious, I actually felt really proud after some of those battles. Especially because, despite the cutesy aesthetic, Kingdom Battle can be downright brutal. Check out this map, which had like 20 of those smasher guys all moving at once. Yikes! This is certainly not a game that can button mash your way through. And that might explain why the game reminds you of easy mode literally before every battle, which gives your entire team a 50% health boost. Now, I never took advantage of it myself because I'm a glutton for punishment, but I wouldn't judge those who did. Too much. Now, breaking up the battles are some light adventuring segments, where you run around a mostly linear map to find hidden items and solve puzzles in order to proceed to the next battle. These segments serve as much needed breaks from the intense combat, giving you a chance to catch your breath and soak in the atmosphere. I especially love the Spooky Trails area, although I really am just a sucker for creepy areas in video games. But for as welcome as the adventuring aspect is, it doesn't feel quite as fleshed out as I would have hoped, falling well short of the other Mario RPG games. The world feels oddly restrictive, with ledges acting as walls to keep you corralled to the path, and the inability to jump just feels wrong in a Mario game. The puzzles also generally aren't too difficult, with a few exceptions, but can certainly feel repetitive at times, as you'll see many of the same basic mechanics over and over and over again. Let me put it this way, if you love the pushing block puzzles in Zelda, you're going to have an absolute ball here. As you explore, you'll also come across various objects or scenes that you can take a closer look at, often involving the Rabbids doing something cute or silly. They never amount to much more than background detail, but they're almost always charming and lend the game a lighthearted touch. Unfortunately, besides those activities, there isn't much else to do while you explore. Sure, you can always go back to the castle hub that has a few points of interest, like a museum, but that's about it. There aren't any towns or even much in the way of NPCs to interact with, and the story is pretty bare bones, even if what is there is told pretty well through cutscenes. But on the bright side, the dialogue captures most of the charm and humor of the typical Mario RPG games, with Beepo, your robotic companion, providing a refreshingly snarky attitude that plays well against Rabbids' zany antics. And on that note, the game definitely combines the Mario and Rabbid themes far better than I ever expected. The interactions the Mario crew has with the relatively zany Rabbid gang are both funny and endearing. In fact, the overall presentation here is fantastic, from the game's impressive opening cutscene to the in-game visuals. The lighting effects look really good given the characters' a softer appearance, and the animation is excellent across the board, except for the somewhat jarring lack of transitional animations when paging through dialogue. The fuzzy grass and fur effects are also commendable. I mean, look at Rabbid Donkey Kong here, who just looks so soft and cuddly. You almost want to reach out and touch him. However, performance-wise, I noticed quite a few instances of occasional slowdown, with the game even appearing to freeze up for a few seconds at a time before resuming. And it usually seems completely random and not connected to the action happening on screen. I mean, it even happened during cutscenes, which was a little bit weird. But while these moments did stand out, they never really impacted my enjoyment of the game. I also have to give a shout out to the excellent soundtrack by Grant Kirkhope. Now, while it's true that I found it a little understated at first, after spending a lot more time with the game, it's really grown on me. It may not be as catchy as his earlier work like in Banjo-Kazooie, even though there are some moments that are clearly evocative of those songs, but they do complement the action almost perfectly without becoming repetitive. And in a super cool touch, the music even changes dynamically depending on who's in control, being a little bit softer when it's the enemy's turn, and more bombastic when your team's up to bat, thereby heightening the action. So all in all, Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle shocked me. It's a concept that sounds supremely dumb on paper, and yet the developers pull it off and more. The battle system is brilliant and truly rewarding, the presentation is impressive, and even the Mario and Rabbid gangs complement each other well. The only things that slightly mar the experience are the somewhat lacking adventuring elements, and a few user interface issues, like the lack of camera control that could improve the battle system even more. But despite these issues, I like Kingdom Battle a lot, and it is now one of my favorite games on Nintendo Switch. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more Nintendo Switch reviews and everything else Nintendo too.